It's time for ROTD Weekend. So I have a project coming up that I haven't fully announced to you that has to do with cooking for 2 people or for smaller households. And one of the trains of thought that I've been going down is about how food manufacturers and grocery stores package things a lot in family sizes. The packages are kind of assuming that you have, 4 or more people in your home, or there's the value packs and family packs that have even more that are touted as being like a really good deal because the price per unit is lower. You know what I'm talking about? It's like the system is not only designed for families and larger families, but also like the companies behind all this are trying to push us in those directions because we'll end up spending more, right? You get a deal. So you were going to buy, let's say, some crackers and you're going to buy a box of crackers, but then there's a sale where you get the family pack of crackers for a larger price, but more crackers. And so then your grocery bill ends up being higher. You see what I mean? And so I've been thinking about this and trying to think about over the long term, if you don't manage to eat all of that family pack, or if it's a family pack of chicken breasts, say, and you package them into the freezer. Well, now you've spent time packaging things, and also zip top bags cost money and they're taking up space in your freezer. But then what happens if one package that you've packaged goes freezer burnt in the back and you don't end up eating it? Have you actually saved any money in the long term? So first of all, I'm just actually super curious what you think about this. And so if you are listening and you have any thoughts about this, if you are a diehard Costco bulk shopper and you're like, Christine, you're nuts, this is a great deal, I would love to hear that from you. If on the other side you are yeah, it's daunting, I end up with too many things in my grocery cart, it's too full, I never know what to do, that's a better deal, but I don't need that much. If you're that person, I want to hear your thoughts on that as well. I think there's probably a lot of different ways to approach this, and we're all different, right? So what works for one person might not work for another person. But yeah, I'm curious about your thoughts. So I'm going to say, just email me. I don't have a formal survey or anything. This is just something I'm starting to wrap my head around and how this fits in for a smaller household. So I'm really curious about what you have to say. Email me at cookthestory@gmail.com and put bulk shopping in the subject line if you remember. And then I will identify that for sure. And I will respond to you because I want to have a conversation about this. And I'm really curious what you have to say and what feedback you have for me on this. So yeah, that is one of the things that I am working on in this larger project that I keep teasing you about. It is definitely all about how to cook for 2, all kinds of tips and strategies and recipes, of course. And that's going to be coming, I think it's going to be in September. So it is getting to be soon, eh? Yeah, September is right around the corner. And I'm going to tell you actually something that unites both September and something that 2 people could do together is the upcoming Jewish food and wine retreat that is happening in the Napa area in September. And I found out about it because I am friends with Beth Lee from OMG Yummy, and she posted about it on Facebook. And I was like, wait, what's happening? And it turns out she is one of the chefs teaching one of the sessions. And then I had a look and I found out that Micah, who like Beth has also been a guest on this show and who I follow on social media and adore, both of them, Beth and Micah, are doing sessions at this retreat in Napa, all food, all wine, and I just had to talk to them. So today I am so delighted to be talking with, at the same time, Beth Lee from OMG Yummy and Micah, who has the new cookbook that's doing so well, Nosh, Plant-Forward Recipe Celebrating Modern Jewish Cuisine. Both of them are on to tell me about the retreat, about the sessions that they are each leading, and they are both sharing a recipe from the retreat that they're planning to be teaching to people. So if you are a couple or an individual who loves food and cooking and is looking for something to do in September, you need to listen to this conversation between me, Beth, and Micah. Here we go. Beth and Micah, welcome back to the show.
Hi, Christine. Hi, Micah. Thanks for having us back.
Thank you for having me. I'm excited to see you both.
Yeah, well, I've had you both on the show individually, but never together. And the reason that I have you on together is because it came across my Facebook feed. I think it was from Beth that you're doing something exciting together. And I was like, I love both of these people. I need to have them both on at the same time to tell me all about it. So Beth, why don't you tell us about this partnership that you two are involved in?
Right. So Micah can fill in even deeper because she was there last year. This is going to be my first year there, but it's at a camp up in Napa Valley, I guess kind of closer to Sonoma, where our family and friends have gone for years and years and years. Kids go every summer, and they've started doing a Jewish food and wine retreat for adults. And this year's theme is global Jewish cuisine. So each of us is going to bring something from a different part of the world. My session is called An Ashkenazi Jew with Aloha Spirit, which feeds into my multicultural Jewish kitchen with a husband who has Hawaiian and Korean descent. But there's going to be different chefs and winemakers who represent all different parts of the diaspora. So very exciting. And 2 nights, and they have this new building there, I think, that's just lovely, almost like a beautiful hotel where people are going to be staying. And the setting, it's like among the redwoods. It's lovely. Oh, so really lovely.
That sounds amazing. So Micah, you've gone before, and I'm assuming you loved it. That's why you're going back?
Yeah. So last year was our first year, and I was one of the presenting chefs. And when you first hear that it's at a summer camp, you imagine like rustic cabins. But this is like no summer camp I've ever experienced. It was so nice, nicer than most hotels that my husband and I ever stay in. And it is truly just a weekend to build community and connections. Last year, we had people from all over the world, from Canada, from the UK, all over the U.S. come and use this also as an excuse to visit the Sonoma wine region as well. There was so much food. The food was fabulous, not at all what you'd expect camp food to be. The first night, I think they had a slow roasted lamb shawarma and homemade falafel and salatim, and so much wine that I was wondering why we were drinking wine so early in the morning, but everyone else was there for it. But of course, I was working, so I had to stay responsible. And it is truly such an exciting thing that they're doing again. I'm hoping that it becomes a yearly event to really celebrate Jewish food and Californian cuisine and where those two intersect. So I couldn't be more excited to join again. And I'm doing a session on dumplings across the diaspora. So a few different dumplings from different parts of Jewish culture across the globe. So a very exciting weekend to be a part of. I'm so excited to be back and also see Beth in person because I recently left the Bay Area. So I'm always excited to get an excuse to go back.
Oh, so exciting. And that sounds wonderful. All the wine, all the food, and yes, bringing the food and the wine together in such a great place. So you're each doing like one session through the weekend. Is that right?
One session, the same session 2 times.
Oh, okay.
So there will be about 4 to 5 sessions at a time that folks can choose from. And they'll kind of have different blocks that they can do it in. Some of them are food, mixology. Some of them are even just active to appreciate the setting that people will find themselves in. They have pickleball courts, pools, they have a little hiking trail. And so it really wants to be something for everyone. But whether you're big into food or your spouse is, you'll still be able to find something that you'll enjoy.
And it starts on Friday night, or I assume late Friday afternoon. And for anyone listening who's not familiar, that's always the celebration, what we call Shabbat, starting at sundown on Friday night till sundown on Saturday night. So it's really special to be not only in this beautiful setting, but with everybody together to share the experience of taking Saturday off and from Friday night to Saturday night and just enjoying being around people and community and learning. And it's that whole concept of it just really kicks off the event in a really beautiful way.
Oh, that is such a great point. I love that idea. And I just want to clarify, you don't have to be Jewish to go, right? You just have to want to learn and eat and try some wine. That's the only requirement.
As long as you like to eat, you are more than welcome. Or if your partner or friend likes to eat and you like to support someone who likes to eat, also welcome.
Yeah. Oh, wow. Okay. That's really, really cool. Yeah. And I love that you have the 2 sessions so that people can go to and not miss something if it's at the same time. I really like that. That's really cool. So I just want to ask, just to make sure if anybody who's listening and is excited, are there still spots available if people want to sign up?
As far as I know, I have not heard yet that it's sold out. Like one of my tasks on my to-do list for August is kind of do a check-in, just see where everything's at and ask some questions, but I don't believe it's sold out yet. So if being with amongst food-loving people and chefs and winemakers for 2 days in an absolutely gorgeous setting sounds inspiring to you, I would definitely sign up.
Okay. And this is going live on August 9th. And so I will double check myself on that day and put the link in the show notes so people can find out if they want to go and that they'll know for sure that there are spots available. Okay. And so now I know that you have both brought recipes to share with me that are from the classes that you're going to be teaching. Beth, what have you brought to tell us about?
So what I'm teaching, as I mentioned, I called it an Ashkenazi Jew with aloha spirit. And what I came up with actually a while back for another platform was something called a Hawaiian smoked salmon bowl with everything bagel seasoning. So we're basically making a poke bowl that feels though like you've just stopped at a bagel shop, but also are in Hawaii, getting the fresh fish, except I substitute smoked salmon in for the fresh fish. So I've brought all these aspects together that really represent my kitchen, which I call a multicultural Jewish kitchen. As I mentioned, my husband's background is Hawaiian and Korean. So what I thought I'd share is just describe the bowl a bit and then share specifically the sauce that I'm going to teach everybody to put on the salmon, which is really versatile. And I highly recommend you could make it if you were making it with fresh fish, not the smoked salmon, it would work. If you were just making like a dinner with chicken or tofu, it would be an absolutely terrific sauce. It would even be a great sauce like to dip dumplings in, if I can say. So the elements of the bowl are the sushi rice, which if you're eating less carbs, which so many people are these days, you could substitute in greens or do a little bit of both. And then the everything bagel seasoning, which I also have a recipe for, but won't go into today, goes both in the sauce for the smoked salmon and then to sprinkle on top. And then there's also some pickled red onions, which are so wonderful to make. They're hard to find in the store. I often share them on my Instagram. They give it a really great flavor. And for me, kind of brings it across both the Jewish side of things, but also the kind of Hawaiian Korean side of things, anything that's pickled. And then you can imagine like a poke bowl, you can add in whatever you want. I suggest adding in edamame or fresh corn, some avocado, fresh green onions, kind of imagine whatever you like in your poke bowl. But this sauce, I call it a shoyu sauce. Shoyu means soy, but it's not just soy sauce. So I will tell you what's in it and really easy to make. So I use low sodium soy sauce. You don't have to, but I usually call it out because I feel like, I don't know, I just like the fact that it doesn't over salt what you're doing. You can always add more salt if you want. So it's a 1/3 cup of low sodium soy sauce or regular soy and whatever brand you like. I won't go into all the nuances of different soy sauces right now. And then a tablespoon of fresh lemon juice, a 1/2 teaspoon of sesame oil. And you don't need much with sesame oil. It adds a lot of flavor, but you don't want to overdo it because it can overpower it. And then a 1/2 teaspoon of gochujang. That's a Korean spice paste. You can find it vegan, you find it regular, you can find it mild, you can find it super spicy. I always go to the Korean market. You can get overwhelmed. There's going to be like 20 different brands. I'm not going to tell you which brand to get because you can't really go wrong. You just look at the label and you'll see 3 little peppers or 2 little peppers or whatever. but I highly recommend the gochujang. But if you can't find it, use your spicy sauce of choosing. If you have like sambal or sriracha in the fridge, you're just looking for a little hit of spice and with like something with texture that's more like a spice paste, not just like a Tabasco that's a really loose sauce.
Right.
And then a teaspoon of everything bagel seasoning, which you can make yourself, but we all know you can buy it. You can buy it at Trader Joe's. You can buy it at almost anywhere. And then you just mix that all up in a bowl and you'll be surprised like how yummy and tasty that is. And if you don't have everything bagel seasoning in the house, just grab some sesame seeds. It'll still be delicious. It's just an extra little layer of flavor nuance if you have the everything bagel seasoning. And so in this particular recipe, the fish gets mixed in with that sauce. But again, like it could be like a chicken marinade. It could be if you make dumplings or you buy dumplings of any sort, especially of any Asian variety, this would make a great dip for them. So that's my little part of the smoked salmon poke bowl. Make that shoyu, what I call a shoyu salmon sauce, but make that sauce. I highly recommend it. You'll love having it in the fridge. You'll love it in this recipe, but you'll love having it in the fridge for so many things.
It sounds incredible, and I can see how obviously the bagel seasoning goes so well with smoked salmon, but then the lemon in there too. I like just that little bit of lemon. We do lemon with the smoked salmon and dill kind of thing quite often. Like it just pulls that together, and it feels like that multicultural bit of the two coming together there, even in just the sauce.
Yes. And it's a really fun sauce to make. It's a really fun recipe to make to kind of bring together two things that, like in our family, we're always looking for a good bagel. I know, Micah, you are too. But if we go to Hawaii, like eating fresh poke, going to a place where they've just caught the fish that morning and watching them slice that up and make a poke bowl, like those are two things for our family that are kind of iconic. And I feel like the recipe for the whole poke bowl brings that together. But as you said, even the sauce itself kind of brings those two things together. We're also lemon lovers in this house. I feel like there's almost nothing that lemon doesn't improve. So yeah, you picked up on that, Christine. It just gives it, again, it's another little piece of kind of cuts the salty from the soy, but tastes really good with fish too.
Yeah, no, I love it. Yeah, it might have been a rice wine vinegar or even lime might have, but the lemon is exactly, it's so spot on. Thank you so much, Beth. I love that. And I love that you said it could be a sauce for dumplings because, Micah, please tell me you're sharing a dumpling recipe with us.
I am, yes. Maybe not one that would go so well with that delicious sounding sauce, but all dumplings are good dumplings, I think.
That's true.
So my session is going to be all about dumplings across the diaspora, which is so exciting. And every really cultural almost has their own dumpling. And within Jewish cuisine, there are many, starting with the one that probably most of us know, which is a matzah ball, is technically a dumpling. I'm not going to go over matzah balls today because matzah balls in September feels a little less enticing. But I am going to feature one of my favorite dumplings, which is the kreplach, which is an Ashkenazi Eastern European soup dumpling that you can either serve in a chicken or vegetable soup, or my favorite way is just pan fried with some caramelized onions as well. I actually just made them for my family on Monday. So when I tell you that they're my favorites, it's that even on a Monday when I'm too busy with work, I will still sometimes find the time to make a small batch of kreplach and then eat 90% of them before my son and husband get home and still have to make dinner because I emotionally ate all of the kreplach I made.
I totally understand how that happens. Yeah,
it happens. It happens to the best of us. But really with the kreplach, the purpose of kreplach and how they came to be is that they are meant to help stretch out leftovers. So growing up, my grandmother would make hers with whatever leftover meat she had on hand, from brisket to roast chicken. I'm in a vegetarian household, so I make mine whenever I have leftover mashed potatoes and I just throw some caramelized onions in. So I'm really going to go over the dough and then also the folding and that part of it today. So the dough that I make is always done in a food processor. That's how my grandmother always did hers, and it's so fast. So in my food processor I'm going to talk about my egg free dough. I put 2 cups of all-purpose flour, a tablespoon of cornstarch just to help make our dough a little bit more tender, some kosher salt, a bit of water, olive oil, just about 2 tablespoons. And then I like to add a few poppy seeds into my dough to give it a little bit more visual excitement. I also just love poppy seeds, always looking for ways to use them up. And I blitz that in my food processor so that it really cuts that liquid in just until it forms a shaggy dough ball. At that point, I take it out of the food processor, wrap it in plastic wrap or something like that, or a Ziploc that's 10 uses old. That's the trade secret, I think. And you put that in the fridge for about 30 minutes or up to 3 days. When you're ready to roll, pun intended, you roll out your dough on a very liberally floured surface to at most 1/8 of an inch in thickness. The thinner, the better, but not so thin that you can see your counter through. Otherwise, you might run into some problems where your filling will burst and puncture the dough. At that point, you take a little knife and you cut about a 2 or 3 inch square, depending on how big you want your kreplach to be. And then in your hand, I wish people could see this because I always have to do it visually, but you put your square in the palm of your hand and you add a teaspoon of whatever filling you like. And this could even be something where you had a bowl of mashed potatoes, a bowl of shredded brisket, a bowl of chicken, and your family can have fun making their own little kreplach. It can be some sort of party. I don't know if you want to come to my house for parties, knowing that that's what they are, but you add a teaspoon of filling in the middle. Then I like to make a little cornstarch slurry or like a glue with a tablespoon of cornstarch and 2 tablespoons of water. And I'm going to use that to run my finger around the edges. That's going to act as our glue because the last thing we want is a kreplach that's leaky. Nobody wants a leaky dumpling. And then you take 2 opposite corners and fold them together into a triangle. See, I can't not do this with my hands.
We're watching Micah do these wonderful demonstrations on our Zoom call that you can't see. But I think it's clear. I think it's very clear, but it's really fun watching you. I'm sorry.
You'll be able to see them.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah, come to the retreat and I'll do it in front of you anytime on demand. And then you really pinch those edges together so you have a cute little triangle. And then I like to put my pointer finger on the base of my triangle and fold the 2 tips over top of each other and kind of twist them. It's going to look like a little tortellini kind of. I call it a rotund triangle with a chin strap personally. And you repeat that with the rest of your dough. Keep rolling out the scraps. And then you boil them in heavily salted water, just like pasta, for about 3 to 4 minutes until they start to float. And then at that point, pop them in your soup, put them in a pan with some fried onions, eat them straight from the pot. There is nothing more satisfying than a freshly made dumpling. So that's one of the dishes I'll make. Then I'm also going to make kube, which is like a semolina-based dumpling, more common in Israeli and Iraqi cuisine, and that's served in a beet soup. So I'm really going to focus on those 2 dumplings, and we'll go over some of the other dumplings in the diaspora as well. So there's going to be lots of dumplings. You can always take my dumplings to Beth's session and see what fits well. But it's always fun to be able to share these because, of course, not only are we educating about Jewish cuisine, but we're able to share so many personal stories about these dishes because most of them have such personal and important stories of our own family's journey from where they started to where we are now and where we're hoping to go. So that's what's so special about being able to share both of our recipes, I think.
Yes, no, that's very beautiful and very exciting. I have so many things I want to pick up on that you were talking about, Micah. I love the cornstarch slurry. This is so funny because we talked about pierogies or vrediki before. In my pierogi recipe on my site, there's a huge section about like how to make sure they don't burst open, and it's about the water for the glue and making sure the dough's not too thin, and it's this like super important part of these filled dumpling process that I think if you haven't done it many times, you would have no idea that it's going to be a big problem if you don't take that care, you know?
And it's a project to make dumplings at home, no matter if you're making kreplach or any other kind of dumpling. And so the feeling when they turn out well, amazing. The feeling when they just disintegrate into nothingness in your pot 4 hours later, pure sadness.
So sad.
And so it's our job as people who put out recipes to the world to make sure that people are more likely to have that that amazing feeling than the sad feeling. And so the cornstarch slurry is something I always do with any dumpling I'm making, because it's better safe than sorry when it comes to these things. I'd rather take 2 seconds to run my finger around the edges and give myself more of a chance for success. And the ones that I emotionally, Monday, none of them broke open. So
that's great. I just want to say, I think about this a lot, and there's probably a cookbook for someone in here, but not for me. These things that cultures make, dumplings are one of them, that are stretching leftovers or stretching the meal. Like if you're not going to have as much meat, you can feed everybody in this way. The ones that I love the most are these ones that are made beautiful. You know what I mean? Like you could easily just have put some brisket and potato into a soup, right? But instead we're like, that would stretch it because the soup is stretching it. But instead we're doing this like really lovely thing, and we're making it seem special and elegant and nurturing. Love. It took time to take that stretched food and serve it to our families in that more beautiful way. Do you know what I mean?
Absolutely. I mean, that's my favorite part of the kreplach story is, how they really came about with whatever you have left over. I mean, so often if you are in a meat eating family and you eat brisket, like you're done with the holiday, and if you're lucky, there's maybe a little brisket left over, but maybe it's not enough to feed people with slices of it. And kreplach is just such a beautiful way to, use up your leftovers, leftover vegetables, leftover so much. In fact, I hope our sessions aren't at the same time, Micah, because I really want to come to yours.
I'll save you one. Don't worry. I'll save you one of each dumpling.
And by the way, I think they'd be great in my dipping sauce. And way back in 2019, I did a Jew-Asian event with the Illuminashi, this Jewish food professionals, Bay Area Jewish food professionals group I'm in. And I had to come up with a recipe that represented my cultural background of my family. It had to be something Asian and something Jewish. And I came up with a recipe. So mandu is what we make from my husband's family. It's the Korean dumpling, but I called it Jew mandu. And so it's a real combination of both cultures or both backgrounds of our family. And the inside of the mandu, normally we make it has pork and beef and tons of vegetables, cabbage and all kinds of stuff. But I made brisket, and the brisket had kind of different flavors in it. Anyways, I just love the whole idea of your session, Micah. I think dumplings are one of those things that are just amazing, not only throughout the Jewish diaspora, but all over the world. It's such a way to start learning the background of different cultures and cuisines through a dumpling.
I think I was also lucky. I'm on the planning committee. So I was looking at okay, these are all the sessions. Where can I fit in? So I was able to kind of be like, oh, no one's doing dumplings yet. So I think I got an unfair advantage on that one. But I'm also very excited for it and coming back home for a little weekend.
So nice. Well, I'm excited for both of you and for everybody who gets to go to the retreat, go to your sessions. Can one of you remind me the name of the session for everybody to hear? And also, Beth, let everybody know where they can find you online, and then Mike, I'll give you a chance as well.
Yeah, so my session is an Ashkenazi Jew with aloha spirit. And if you look up, I don't know if it's a short URL, but if you look up like Camp Newman Jewish Food and Wine Retreat, it'll come up. And as far as finding me, I'm OMG Yummy everywhere. So omgyummy.com is my website. OMG Yummy on Instagram, on Facebook, Pinterest if you're a Pinterest person. And I'm on Substack now. I have 2 Substacks. Wow. One is called Sumac and Sunshine, which is about my love of Middle Eastern food that I co-write with Serene Wallace. And then my own blog newsletter is now also on Substack, and it's Oh My God Yummy. And yeah, so come and say hello. I love talking about food pretty much 24 hours a day. So come and say hi.
Wonderful. And Micah, your turn.
So my session is called Dumplings Across the Diaspora. And you can find me on Instagram at Nosh with Micah. That's Micah. I'm also on Substack. My newsletter is just Nosh with Micah. It's called Little Bites. And similar to Beth, come say hello, ask us questions. The biggest thing you can do is even become a free subscriber to one of our Substacks. That would be huge. And or Beth and I both have books, so check them out on Amazon. If you want to buy them, amazing. Or take them out from your local library, also amazing. But whatever you do, always review books on Amazon. It is the one free thing you can do for an author. And don't forget that if you change 10 things and it didn't work out, that's your fault, not mine. But you can always comment on the photos.
That's a great thing to remember, Micah.
That's always my plug.
I love it. Yes, and I will put links to both of your cookbooks in the show notes for the podcast episode as well. Thank you both so much. Have an amazing time hanging out together with everybody. And
you should come, Christine.
September is crazy for me this year, but I literally, when I first saw it, opened my calendar right away and I was like, can I make it work? Because it was just so exciting. So maybe not this year, but if it's going to be happening again next year, I can block it out ahead of time. That would be really
That'd be
great.
awesome. We can get you a whole West Coast gig going out here. If you come out for that, we'll find you a whole bunch of other things to do for your business at the same time.
Well, that sounds amazing.
We appreciate you promoting and sharing both of us. And we really, I think I speak for both of us that it's very nice that you're doing this and sharing on your podcast. It's very much appreciated.
Yes, 100%.
I appreciate you both coming on and talking with me. Thank you so much. Good luck. Have a great time.
Thank you. So nice to see you, Beth. I'll see you almost next month.
I have just checked and there are still tickets available. I cannot go this year because I have improv classes that weekend. I know I'm obsessed. I've been bit by the improv bug, but I am putting it in my calendar for next year with a reminder for 2 months before so that I know to keep it free because I want to go. And if you are free, you've got to check it out. I have the link in the show notes, but you can Google for campnewman.org, food and wine. You will find it. And I would love to meet both Micah and Beth in person. If you go, I'm going to be so envious, but so happy for you because it's going to be such a great time. Okay, so now what am I doing in my kitchen this week? I'm actually doing some things that serve me some serious double duty. So my kids go back to school on Monday. Isn't that crazy? I know in Florida, they go back to school near the beginning of August. It always blows my mind. Where I am from in central Canada, you go back to school like after Labor Day long weekend. So this always throws me off, but we are here. It is this time of year. And so what I'm actually doing this week is for our dinners, I am doing I guess it's a second round test on some recipes that I'm hoping I will be shooting and doing videos for probably the next week. So this week I have already tried these recipes one time. I am doing a second round. And the reason that I'm doing them is because they are super easy recipes for weeknight back to school meals that my kids love. So I know everybody's going to eat and be really well fueled up for the beginning of the school year. So the recipes that I am testing this week are a no-boil baked ziti, where you just mix everything into the casserole dish and put it in the oven. I love recipes like that, even though they take a while because the pasta is literally cooking in liquid with the other ingredients in the casserole dish. It takes a while, but it takes like no time to get it ready. So I can be helping them with if they have homework already or just relaxing with them, hanging out. They've had some tough days, you know. Also, I'm doing a ground beef and mushroom skillet. So that is a 1-pan meal with beef and mushrooms, and it's just really, really tasty and good. And then we're doing a blackened salmon recipe using my blackened spice and some salmon, and we'll have the ground beef and mushroom skillet kind of as like a side dish with that. And then finally, the meatball stroganoff. So I made this on a whim a couple of months ago, and my daughter loves meatballs, and this recipe uses the like frozen bagged meatballs that I don't buy that often, but I was just grabbing them like, oh, we need something quick tonight. And I grabbed these frozen meatballs and I turned them into a stroganoff, and she was like, I want to have this every day. So now it is becoming a recipe on the website. So that is getting an extra test this week as well. So Those are the recipes that I am starting on. I am sure you're going to hear about them again because they've been tested once. This is second, and I'm going to still need to photograph them and do videos about them at some point. So I'm sure you'll hear about them again. And then, of course, they will work their way into being on the website, being on social media, being on this show. So that is that general train of how things go. As to what is going live on the sites this week, there is only one. Back to school has kicked my butt, and I just had to leave a gap in there to make my life a little bit easier. So we have one recipe going live on the Cookful this week, and it is for cottage cheese guacamole. You know, I've become kind of obsessed with using cottage cheese in various recipes, especially when it's pureed. And so this makes kind of like a extra creamy, high protein guacamole. Super delicious. That's going live on Monday on the Cookful. As to what I'm telling you about this week on the podcast, there is some nice back to school stuff for sure. There's some stuffed chicken thighs, some basic buttered egg noodles. We all need a reminder about how good and easy those are. Some salmon from Frozen. That's going to save you in a pinch all the time. Of course, I am telling you about that cottage cheese guacamole and a really delicious, oh gosh, one of my favorite vegetable side dishes ever. And tomorrow, a special sauce that will make any meal you're having taste better, whether it's on Sunday or any day of the week. So make sure you are subscribed to this podcast so that you get all of those ideas, a new recipe every day of the week to inspire you what you could make that day or add to your meal plan for that week. I will keep the ideas coming, hoping to make your life easier, making that decision-making process easier, you know? So you subscribe by going on to your phone, going to your favorite podcast app, whether that's Apple Podcasts or Spotify, and you search for Recipe of the Day while you're there, and you will find me. I want to say a huge thank you to Beth and Micah. Check them out. Beth is OMG Yummy, and Micah is Nosh with Micah, and they are both at the Jewish Food and Wine Retreat this September in Napa at Camp Newman. I will put the links to all those things in the show notes for you. And I want to say a big thank you to you for listening. And don't forget, email me if you have thoughts, good or bad, on bulk food buying, family packs, value packs. I'm super curious to hear what you think. I am at cookthestory@gmail.com. Tell me all your thoughts. Thank you so much for listening. I'm Christine Pittman from cookthestory.com, thecookville.com, the all-new chicken cookbook, and from this podcast, Recipe of the Day. I hope you have a great weekend. Let's get cooking.